Well, good morning. Welcome to New Thought Unity Center on this lovely Sunday morning. My name is David Kisor, and I'm music director at the New Thought Unity Center in Cincinnati, Ohio, where it's trying to get up above freezing. And guess what? We're just barely above freezing in the sanctuary, all right? For those of you that are here, the boiler took a vacation today, and so that's why it's a little nippy, but, you know, we're just going to have to get up and do some wonderful music. We want to welcome everyone that's online, and we're glad that you're with us. We'd love to hear from you and where you're from. Oh, who's going to be the furthest away this time? We had Massachusetts people, and with our wonderful last week, and with our wonderful special speaker, who knows where people will turn up from on the internet. But we're glad all of you that are in person here today. We want to start with a statement that many of us believe, penned by Carole King: only love is real.
In the glow of a just lit fire, feeling the warmth as the flame grows higher. I think it's true that nothing is really new under the sun. Watching a new love grow from old love's embers. Yesterday's gone, but today remembers. Doesn't it seem to come down the same for everyone? Only love, everything else is illusion. Only love, confusion, the way we can love and be alive, tracing a line till we can define the thing that allows us to be. Only love is real. Only love is real. Childhood dreams like muddy waters flowing through me to my sons and daughters. Everything I ever thought is confirmed as truth to me. Even as I see the way that I want to go now, still I wish I had known what I know now. Maybe I could have spared you, given your youth to me. Only love is real. Everything else is illusion. Only love confusion. The way we can try to just stay alive, tracing a line till we can define the thing that allows us to be. Only love is real. Only love is real. Only love is real. Only love
And we'd like to welcome no stranger to New Thought Unity or the greater spiritual nooks and crannies of our great city of Cincinnati and well beyond. Welcome our speaker today, Ron Esposito.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning, in person and online. Thanks for being with us. Boy, I love that song. And it's really the truth, isn't it? Great to listen to everybody play. I get really inspired by the music here. Yeah. So, the affirmation for this week is life is teaching me in every moment and circumstance. Life is teaching me in every moment and circumstance. Yes, thanks for joining me there. Let's take a few moments to get quiet. To go into our heart. Dearest Mother, Father, God, our beloved, help me to know that you are behind everything that comes into my life. Help me to see beyond the duality and to realize that everything, whether I label it good or bad, is for my soul's evolution. The universe is good. The universe is just. And it conspires in every moment to teach me what I need to know to grow further into your love, your life, and your grace. So be it.
Thank you, Ron. It happens to be the first Sunday of the month, and we like to recognize and celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. Who was a March baby? Anybody here? If you were, please stand up so that we can recognize you. Anyone that was married in March and celebrate that? All right. Anybody out there online, please put your name in the sidebar there, in the comments, so that we can recognize you too. Everyone, God is blessing you now. Let's give it to him. Here we go. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you. You are wonderful. God all right. Oh, stay up, and everybody else stand up, because we're going to start really getting things a little warmed up in here, because guess what? We need it. Preach, little Althea. What you got?
Well, there was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all by myself. I didn't know that the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But let me tell you now. But now I can say, if you're ever discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day,
What we do?
You've got to let it go. Amen. Let it all go. And this is what you had to say. I release and I let go. I let the spirit of my life and my heart.
Does that warm you up? Yes.
All right, look around, spread your arm wide as if you're hugging everybody and say somebody's name, say hello, good morning.
Good morning,
Want
everyone.
everybody out
Good
there in
morning,
the
everyone in
world
virtual
to say
land.
hello to
Hi,
you.
Letha. Hi, Ken.
All right, all those people that are warm in their
Yes.
pajamas at home with a
Joe.
mug of coffee, oh, say hi to you. Put something in the sidebar. We'll recognize you later on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let's sing our other song. You thought it was warm now? We're going to kick it up. 1, 2, 3.
I feel a good vibration, healing and transformation. All through this congregation, must be unity. The experience is our mission, universal oneness is our vision. Here you are, you got permission. Must be unity. NTUC unity.
Everybody can have a seat. Thank you.
Having fun. Aren't we having fun? Yes.
Attention, Alice. Quit having fun. Oh, keep having fun. I would like for you to say with me our mission and vision statement, just to let you know where we are here at New Thought Unity. Our mission statement is, in God, we are an inclusive, abundant community, experiencing love, transforming lives, and serving others. Our vision statement: we celebrate a world of harmony and oneness, a place of loving stewardship, sacred connections, and pure joy, where all are welcomed with honor and respect. And wherever you are on your spiritual path, we want you to know that you are welcome here. If you have ever been in a place where you felt like you were trying to be pushed into a box that wasn't yours, let us let you know that there are no boxes to be pushed into here. Amen. So wherever you are, in the sanctuary or in virtual land, we're grateful that you're here and you're very welcome.
Awesome. And we have some announcements. There are a lot of things going on at New Thought Unity Center, so I'm going to try to do the small print announce our announcements today, which means you have to listen very carefully because there's a lot of announcements and we're going to go very, very quickly. How about that? Can you listen? I think we can. All right. For all events, see the website, eBlast, or the email event for detailed information. Prayer chaplain training held on Zoom on 2 Saturdays, April 17th and 24th from 9 a.m. until noon. This training will cover the foundations of Unity's prayer process, the underlying beliefs supporting the process, and the roles of the prayer chaplain, and the importance of practicing care, self-care, and the act of service. You must be a Unity member to take this calling. Call the center for the Zoom link. I'm just getting warmed up. Stick with me. All right, here we go. Women of Wisdom. This month's speaker is Bev Adamo, who will present on sovereignty, the path to human collaboration. Call the center and see the email blast and check out the Facebook event for more information and the Zoom link. The NTUC annual meeting will be held on March the 14th, that's next Sunday at 1 p.m. in person in the sanctuary and on Zoom. Your ballot to vote for the open positions has been mailed to you. You can drop it off or mail it back prior to the meeting. Instructions are included in the mailing. And in red letters, you can't see it, but it's in red letters, so I will slow down. All ballots received before the meeting will be counted, or your vote can be in person in the meeting. Apologies for confusion on this point beforehand. So you can mail it in, still mail it in, and as long as we receive it before next Sunday, it's there. Email Susan at administration. at unity.org for the Zoom link. And I hope we see as many of you as possible here. Big breath, because I'm going to go 3 with 1 breath. Okay. Spiritual sentiment. Since we were unable to show the best of enemies in November due to the high virus rates in the city, we are now going to feature it. That's weird. The virus kind of wiped out best of enemies. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? No, we're going to show it again. Okay. March the 12th at 6:30 in Friendship Hall. Angels Wings Winter Clearance Sale. Until March 14th, all clothing and shoes 50% off, or $5 a bag of clothes. Who knows? Buy the bag, give it to a friend, say I love you. Fridays from 10 to 2, Saturdays 10 to 4, Sundays 12 to 3. One more announcement, and this is a long one. Honor a loved one and our center by sponsoring an Easter lily, our Love Blooms program. Your sponsorship allows you to place an in honor of message on a slide presentation that runs prior to each Sunday service up until Easter and on the NTUC Facebook page. Then after the Easter service, which will have a special guest speaker, should we announce who the special guest speaker is? Does anybody want to know who the special guest speaker is?
Yes.
You do? Listen to the rest of the announcement and I will tell you. Okay. Take your lily home with you. To participate, just use one of the following methods. Use the donate button on the website and write the notes in the section that you want on your slide. Mail in your donation with the note stating what you want on your slide. So you buy the thing and you can put almost anything on the slide. Yes. Stop at NTUC during office hours or on Sunday after Sunday service and fill out the Love Blooms envelope. Insert your donation and drop it in the offertory basket or hand it to the NTUC administrative person. Or call the center for more information. What is our number? Is it up there on the slide? Let's all say it together. 513-961-2527. And those are our announcements. Easter service is going to be special. We try to always have a live speaker during New Thought Unity Centers, unless we can get someone that is really, really good to do. And we invited Pat Williamson, former minister here at New Thought Unity Center, to do the Easter service, and he will. He's going to tape the Easter service for us. We're going to keep it under lock and key until Easter Sunday. And we'll have Pat Williamson's big, beautiful face up on the screens as we listen to the Easter message from our wonderful former spiritual leader. Isn't that cool?
Yay,
Pat Williamson
Reverend
is
Pat.
going to do
Thank
it.
you. Yes.
All right. I think that's... Oh, yeah. Now's the time to do that. Guess what happens in our scheduling next week? We spring forward. All right. We spring forward next week. So what does that mean? We get an extra hour of sleep?
No.
Oh, that was falling back, right? I fall back in bed. I have to spring out of bed earlier this time. Okay, I've got it. Okay, so just to remember that, and those are our announcements. Let's start to settle in and get ready for our meditation time.
Open my heart to what you know, so I can stretch, so I can grow. When feelings toss me to and fro, I open my heart to what you know. understand what I could be when feelings get the best of me. I open my heart to what you see. I open my ears to what you hear, so I can keep you very near when feelings make it so unclear. I open my ears to what you hear. I open my heart to what you know, so I can stretch, so I can grow when feelings cause me to and fro. I open my heart to what you know.
As we open our hearts, as we enter into our breath, as we experience the present moment, we know that God's love enfolds us. We are held closely in the love that is divine and unconditional. In our highest self, we love and embrace all that is in all the people in our life and in the world. The holy truth is we are one. Let us take that thought, feeling, and experience into our hearts now. So let us take with us through the day today. The knowledge, the feeling, the experience that in every moment life is teaching me, in every moment and circumstance, what I need to learn is being presented to me right now.
I open my heart to what you know, so I can stretch, so I can grow. When feelings toss me to and fro, I open my heart to what you know.
I'm tired of the guilt that brings me pain. Now is the time for me to let go of the shame. The past is behind me. I see anew. I'm ready for my change. Oh, I'm ready for my change.
Forgive me. Everything that I've been holding on to.
my
Amen.
Yeah.
And now a speaker that is a change maker. Give it to us, Ron.
All right, David, thank you. Boy, oh boy. I love that music. Whew. You can tell when I get moved, I get choked up. It's because I'm out of my head and in my heart. Of course, we all know there's a time to be, in our head, obviously. We have to plan, we have to analyze, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, there's a time to be in our heart, when we want to feel, when we want to have the experience that all is one. When we start to think in a more non-dual fashion, our suffering and the suffering of those around us is lessened. We are not as gripped by the dualistic thinking of I'm right and they're wrong. And believe me, I know something about that highway. There's some people in here today that know me very well and have seen me in the grip of that dualistic thinking and the suffering that does come about it. So, with that as a small preface, we're going to talk about 5 life lessons today, okay? So the first one, striving for happiness, is the surest way to experience unhappiness. You gotta love that, right? And I tell you what, I'm not really a betting guy. I usually only bet when it's a sure thing. I don't want to go to the bank on this one, okay? Striving for happiness is the surest way to experience unhappiness. Avoidance of emotional pain causes unhappiness. And there's no way around experiencing emotional pain. If you are spirit in this form, I'm going to experience emotional pain. And interestingly enough, as we mature spiritually, psychologically, and in consciousness, we come to know this is a verity, that we are going to experience emotional pain. And there's no way around it. The way is through it. And that means to experience it and use it as fuel for our evolution. One of my mentors, Richard Rohr, talks about conscious suffering. If we're suffering and we know we're suffering, we can use that suffering to grow and explore our thinking, feeling, and behaving, as well as our underlying motivations. Interestingly enough, happiness is a byproduct. It comes about naturally, we could say, and to be, pretty straightforward about it, I think a lot of times happiness can be a choice that is that's not dependent on circumstance. So happiness is not dependent on circumstance. You know, happiness doesn't come about, oh, when I get my new little red Corvette, or when I, go to the casino and win some money, or somebody brings me cookies and milk. If my happiness is contingent upon outside factors, I'm going to be unhappy a lot. So you've heard this, and I'm going to say it again, because you've heard it a million times, and it's true. Happiness is an inside job, okay? If we think somebody's going to make us happy, momentarily or for a little while, but it's an impossibility. Happiness is an inside job. It comes about by the self-observation, the practices that we engage in to open our hearts, to open our minds. Happiness is a byproduct, and at the same time, we can choose it. I've experienced it more often as a byproduct, and when I've really been on my game, I can choose to be happy. The real deal, and you've heard this a number of times stated in a different way each time this morning, that the soul is getting everything it needs for its evolution in this very moment. There is no other moment other than this present moment. All other moments, quote unquote, aside from this present moment, are psychological constructs. They're conceptual in nature. Right now is the deal, in a visceral sense, in a felt sense, as well as a lived into sense. When I start thinking that I'm getting everything I need in the present moment, things switch up a lot. Then I go into a place of gratitude and humility. And when I'm in gratitude and humility, I'm in right alignment with the universe and natural law. I hope you have the same experience. I'm sure many of you do. Secondly, if we're not self-observing, we're unconscious and running on automatic. The unexamined ego will run our life. And developing a self-observation practice aids in making conscious choices. So let's look at this for a little bit. If we're not self-observing, we're unconscious and running on automatic. So what is self-observation? It's a choice that I'm going to use the witnessing faculty of my consciousness to observe myself in action. And that observing, of course, means I'm looking at how my mind is working. I'm feeling how my feelings and emotions and what is going on in my gut, my body. By self-observing, by developing a practice of self-observation, I become more conscious. When I become more conscious, I have more choice. And that's a big deal. Practicing conscious choice. It's actually empowering, very freeing, and actually helps us be in the world with a higher vibration. Look, if we're in this form, on this plane of reality, we're going to have an ego. It's just the way it goes. There's nothing bad or wrong with that. Actually, in a backwards kind of way, the ego is actually trying to work for us, kind of protect us in some ways. It's trying to kind of mimic, some lost, quote unquote, lost aspect of ourself. When in reality, there is no lost aspect of the self. We are whole and complete as we are in this moment, with God breathing us. So, when I'm unconsciously identified with the ego and its workings, I'm going to suffer. It's going to say I don't have enough, or I'm not good enough, or all the lines, okay? We're all old enough here to have experienced these doubts about ourselves. And, I love that title of that one song, I Forgive Me. Wow. Oh, boy. Wow. I forgive me. Healed people heal. So we need to heal ourselves. And one of the best ways that can happen is when I forgive myself. Being human is quite the trip, right? So it's interesting. I need to forgive myself, and I don't need to forgive myself for being human, okay? Which leads me into the third point here. It's okay to be human. Now, you might say to yourself, well, Ron, yeah, I already know that. Well, cool. I'm saying that to me. Okay? It's okay to be human. I have an inner critic that's got a gun, a knife, and barbed wire, and a couple bombs, you know what I'm saying? And wow, it can go to work on me. So I have to remind myself, it's okay to be human. It's okay to feel whatever I'm feeling. And interestingly enough, one of the surest spiritual bypasses is to say, I should not be feeling this. Fill in the blank. If you are, and we are, spiritual beings having a human experience, is it not God working through us, as us, that is experiencing all that we experience? Absolutely. This is how God knows its creation. Let us not forget the Master, one of the world avatars, Jesus the Christ, took human form to teach us this very lesson. So when I judge and reject what is coming up in me in consciousness, particularly through my feelings and emotions, and I reject them, when I judge them, when I don't accept them, they go into the shadow. And then they're projected out into and onto the world. And the way that usually works is the people that are around us and the people that we encounter, from the gas station to our spouses. So, practicing self-acceptance, non-judgment, and self-love are paramount to personal as well as spiritual growth. Let us not forget that good psychology is the foundation of higher consciousness, increased spirituality, because without a good psychological foundation, we're just flying around, having this experience, that experience, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, and to put a fine point on this okay being human, I got my real rubber meets the road schooling. I turned 65 in Copenhagen, Denmark in 2015 at a professional conference. And there at the conference, circumstances came about that showed me my anger, my jealousy, my possessiveness. And I can keep checking off the list. All this human stuff that we might label as, lower end or not quite as serving, and at the same time as part and parcel of being human. I remembered every night I went back to my hotel room and I called the United States to talk with friends about what I was going through. And a lot of what I was going through was rejecting what I was feeling, saying to myself, oh, Ron, you're a teacher of consciousness. You shouldn't feel this way. Or, oh, Ron, you're this, you're that, you shouldn't. It's like, whoa, stop. It's all part of being human. I'm better off when I accept that. And, be with it. So as we move on, another one of the lessons is either or thinking causes suffering. Black and white thinking causes suffering. Us, them thinking causes suffering. And usually with us first. Again, I've referenced some people here today who know me very well. And, they've witnessed when I get wound. When I go into that black and white, either or thinking, wow. I'm really in it. And thanks for the people who can love me unconditionally. I do come out of it, okay? But I do start to realize how much either or black and white, us, them, dualistic thinking causes suffering. Both and thinking lessens suffering and opens us to an appreciation of paradox, mystery, and nuance. Because I'll tell you what, folks, there's hardly anything that's just this or that. Most of it is on a grayscale continuum. Both and. It's all one. And then the variety of colors and stripes come from that place. You know, dualistic thinking perpetuates suffering, as I've said, while the embrace of non-dualistic thinking eases attachment to polarity, black and white thinking, as well as the us-them dichotomy. So it's interesting, one of the very practical ways of starting to move more into non-dual thinking is don't use, or I started to use the word but less. Oh yeah, he's a cool guy, but he's blah, 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 blah. That's dualistic thinking. Non-dual thinking is, yeah, you know, he's a cool guy, and, you know, whatever the rest of the stuff is. Because we're not just this or that. We're it all. And as human beings, we get to experience it all. So when I start using the word but less, oh, you've made a good point, but. I mean, the but is actually a refutation of what comes before it, okay? So, you know, we might disagree, that's okay, right? So it's like, oh yeah, well, you did make a good point, and I blah, 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 fill in the blank. So I would really suggest this to you. Just consciously do it. Do it for a week and see what happens. Don't use but anymore. Just use and. Listen, you kids, I'm angry with you. And, you know how to fill in the blank there, okay? So, both and thinking eases up the suffering and reminds us that all is one. Everything is one. Look, everything, no matter what we label it, comes out of consciousness with a capital C. Consciousness with a capital C is that infinite potential. It's the uncarved block. It's the thing out of which everything is birthed. You don't get any more both and than that, huh? Okay. So let's try saying and as opposed to but when we're in conversation. And just see what happens. See how it works for you. Lastly, I'm really not telling you anything today that you probably don't already know somewhere, right? And you probably know it from your own experience. So they're just kind of reminders. And you know, they're reminders for me too. You better believe it. Okay, so lastly, most things are out of our control. I mean, they really are. I mean, really, okay? Control is an illusion. Actually, I prefer the term manage as opposed to control. You know, look, we all have an ego. We know this, right? And then out of having an ego comes having a personality, okay? And so, I'm best served, and you're best served, when I manage my personality, when I manage my proclivities, when I manage, you know, whatever. You might want to call them character defects, shortcomings, whatever. Control is an illusion. Ask parents that have children of a certain age, right? You know, try to control them. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. You know, the haircuts, the thises, the thatas, they'll all come and go, okay? You know, for those of us of a certain generation, yeah, you know, my hair used to be down to here. Well, look whose hair is down to there. Now, Michael, he's a fashion statement. Not really, it's the way Michael rolls. You know, for me, it was kind of like, hey, I'm putting this in your face kind of thing, you know. So it's interesting nowadays, I really prefer the cue ball haircut. I think for guys that are balding, they actually look better. So anyway, things are out of our control. You know, surrender to the reality of this brings serenity. And isn't that something we all want to experience, you know? Just a sense of well-being in our bodies. You know, God has got it. And really, God does have it. That's not just some nice, you know, platitude that, you know, metaphysicians bandy about. God has it. God's got it all. And when I surrender to that, boy, I'm glad to be alive. So, you know, we all know the serenity prayer to one degree or another. And it, you know, we must accept the things that we cannot change. You know? And have the courage to change the things we can. And that's me. I can actually change me. I can't change you. When I get into the business of trying to change you, the car's off the road. When I get into business of trying to make you better, the car's off the road. You make yourself better or whatever. So, you know, I have to know the difference between what I can manage and what is out of my management or control. And it's interesting, have the wisdom to know the difference. And that's the deal, isn't it? Having the wisdom to know the difference. I love laughing at myself, I'm telling you. You know, at this point in the game, you know, I'm 70 years old. I've seen some life, right? I tell you, one of the most joyful things is to laugh at myself. And say, yeah, Ron, yeah, you thought you were a hot you-know-what. Then you find out. Then you find out, hey, it's okay to be in the mix. It's okay to be, you know, Joe Blow. You know what I'm saying? This being above or this being below really doesn't serve anybody. It's good to be in the mix. It's good to be in the mix as a human being. Because you know what? We all basically want the same stuff or same thing. We just go about it in different ways. And this is where having self-compassion and self-forgiveness serve us and the world. Thanks for having me today. Much love to you.
Thank you, Ron. So we're going to do a little musical exercise in surrender. In the words of Keb Mo, hand it over. We're ready? Yep. 2, 3, 8,
If your problems won't go away, and you worry both night and day, I'll hand it over, people. Get on your knees and pray. If you're sick, feeling low, got no money, got nowhere to go, I'll hand it over, people. Get on your knees and pray. Hand it over, hand it over, hand it over, give it up, give it over, give it over, hand it over, children. Get on your knees and pray. Get on your knees and pray. Let me tell you something. Ain't no mountain you can't climb. Ain't no answer that you can't find. All you need is a hand to hold, and feel your body. Need your soul. The road is rough. You can't find your way. Just let the Spirit light the way. Oh, hand it over. Hand it over. Get on your knees and pray. You can't climb. Ain't no answers that you can't find. All you need is a hand to hold and heal your body and your soul. The road is can't find your way. Just let the Spirit light the way. Oh, hand it over. Hand it over. Get on your knees and pray. Get on your knees and pray. Hand it over, hand it over, hand it over, hand it over, hand it over. Give it over, hand it over, people. Get on your knees and pray. Get on your knees and pray. Hand it over. Get on your knees and pray. Hand it over. Get on your knees and pray. Hand it over. Get on your knees and pray all night and all day.
All right. Hey, what time is it? What time is it?
We do. It's that time in our service where we take our offering, our tithes and our offerings in our hand, and we say our offertory blessing. So if you have your gift in your hands, and online and virtual land, if you're, just hold it, push that button, press that button, and just hold your hand there, and say our offertory blessing with us. And it goes like this. Divine love, moving in and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive. So Father, Mother God, thank you for these gifts that are giving with a joyful heart, because Father, Mother God does enjoy a cheerful giver, and we are blessed, as is New Thought Unity Center and this community, by your giving, and so it is. Amen. And we have prayer chaplains here. I see Lauren, I see Susanna. So they both will be available to pray with you after service. They hold sacred space during service, after service, and before service. So if you have a prayer request, speak to one of them and they'll be glad to assist you. Thank you.
And I want to thank everyone that's involved in the service today. Always great to have you, Ron, and to bring that wonderful message. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, what about the band? Woo-hoo! And back in the tech booth, we have Rick and Susan making a Seen and Heard. We have great stuff, and I want to recognize some of our friends online, Cheryl, Sam, Linda, and Jerry, all joining us online today. Kay, that must be Kay Leeds, is sending real love, not fake love, but real love to all today. Lee and Barb, everybody knows Lee and Barb, they have March birthdays as well, and guess what? Susan from California, not the city, but the state, is with us online today and says hello from sunny California. So we're spreading the love, we're spreading the joy. Remember, next week we spring forward.
Spring forward, right.
And we come and we have our annual meeting in the afternoon. And we have all the speakers and the music are going to be on the platform, so figure that out next week. So we're going to have some wonderful message about marching forward in difficult times. So, marching forward in difficult times. So join us here for the meeting or online. Thank everyone for being here today. And so let's stand together and put our hands out as if we're holding hands all around this room, as we like to do when we can actually touch one another. And if you're with somebody that you can hold their hand, go ahead and hold their hand. That'd be great. We got hands held as we make a circle of love. And as Ron has says every time he comes here, and it is the truth, we are one. We are one in this sanctuary, in this community, in this state, and around the world. And we hold that thought as we know our prayer for protection and our peace song. And so we know together, the light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well.